back for corruption. Those who have fought corruption pay a very bitter price. Whether it's John Githongo now paying 10 million for exposing the Anglo leasing, whether it was Jacinta Mwatela, who was hounded out of Central Bank for refusing corruption, whether it's David Munyakei, who exposed Goldenberg, and he died a pauper's death. So the social incentives favor corruption because the political elite are benefiting. So blaming the citizen is victim blaming. Maybe last I can say is professionals. Look at what happened in Kenyatta University when a professional stood up and said no. So we also need professionals of courage and integrity to stop being bullied when they're given the wrong instructions.
Asaska, is it the people who are to blame for this?
Trevor, first of all, before I answer your question, I think we would like to appreciate the fact that Kenya's democratic space has really grown over time. And one, it's because look at the fringe parties, the Roots Party and the Agano Party. They have a huge space right now to explain to Kenyans what they really stand for and what they will bring to the table for Kenyans. And yes, you're asking me, is the corruption, are we to blame the electorate?
Asaska, now I think you get one interruption also. It's fair play for everyone. Everybody's interrupted at least once. You can see now on your screens that the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance deputy presidential candidate, Honorable Martha Karua, is now here, ready for the debate, which is starting in the next 30 minutes from now. It's going to take 1.5 hours, where they're going to outline the reasons why they're running for office and why they should be elected. Right after that, what is going to happen is they're going to take a ballot session. In that ballot session, whoever picks the first number is the one who will make the opening remarks first. I think she's accompanied by her family there. So once that happens, the second person is the one who will also make the closing remark second. That's Honorable Martha Karua is coming in for the debate that's going to take place in just a short while there, but 1.5 hours of it, where Kenyans can send in your questions as well on 22843, and we'll cross over to them and find out whether she's ready for the debate that is about to kick off in the next half an hour. And Ken Mijungu is now standing right there with Michelle Ngele. Ken?
Deputy presidential running mate under the Azimio One Kenya coalition just arrived 25 minutes to the debate. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, and you can see I'm surrounded by my grandchildren.
Yeah, she seems to want to say something. You want to say something?
Hi, people.
Are you ready for this debate?
Very. Yes.
All right. Say something.
Hi.
Do you wish her well?
Okay. Yes. No,
all right.
Please vote for Azimio.
All right, that is Martha Karua. She is the second candidate to arrive for this debate, setting the stage for the debate. Among many others, Kenyans expecting a heated debate, where amongst center stage will be how these candidates will implement their manifestos. Trevor.
Thank you, Michelle and Ken Mijungu there, speaking to the deputy presidential candidate for the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance. Honorable Martha Karua has just walked into the podium. The debate kicks off in the next half an hour from now. They'll first go into the balloting session, where they pick their numbers. That will determine who will make the opening remarks and who will be the first one to make closing remarks as well. But as Asaska, we are talking about now, we have to switch gears. As you finish your talks on that, let's now talk about the one that's coming, the debate that's coming. What are your expectations for this particular debate between Honorable Rigathi Gachagua and Honorable Martha Karua?
First, before we jump into that, can I finish on the corruption?
Yes.
Thank you, Trevor. So in regards to corruption, I think one thing that I want to bring it out is an overall lack of commitment to fight corruption. And it begins from our household level all the way to the top leadership. I think it's time for us to be serious about corruption, for us to face corruption head on, because I think we're losing a lot of money to corruption, and it needs to go to better use.
Okay.
And the other issue is, are we blaming the 22 million voters? No, yes. In one way, yes. We vote to people we know, most likely experienced politicians. As much as we have the fringe candidates, we feel like we go with who is famous and who we know based on our tribal and ethnic lines. So changing gears here. Okay. What I expect on the second time of the debate is on both Kenya Kwanza manifesto and the Azimio manifesto. They really have some impressive commitments. and one of it is enhancing devolution.
Yeah.
I want to see how well they're going to articulate the issue of devolution, particularly increasing the shareable county revenue. And the other thing is both parties are huge on social protection as a development policy. And one good example is the 600 Kenya shillings cash transfers to the most vulnerable community members.
6,000.
6,000, yeah. And my question is, as much as this makes an economic sense,
Yeah.
is it affordable?
Yeah.
Where is the physical sustainability of this initiative? We all know that social protection plays a big role, and it will definitely bring about equity and inclusive economic value to the beneficiaries.
Yeah.
But as much as there's no clear cut on the criteria and how many people. I know we have roadside declaration. There's about 2 million people, but I'd like to hear from Ms. Karua on how well they're going to execute this.
Okay. Professor Menya, what clarifications are you seeking from debate 2, which is about to begin between Rigathi Gachagua and Honorable Martha Karua?
Yeah, thank you. I think we are really looking forward to this debate, and one of the major issues we have looked at the manifestos of the two parties. One is called a plan, the other one is called a manifesto for Azimio and for Kenya Kwanza. And the question really that I'll be interested in those candidates are answering is, what problem are they trying to solve?
Yeah.
What is ailing Kenya? I think both of those parties have totally ignored what is ailing Kenya, and they're not talking about it. Of course, yes, we're talking corruption. That is costing the country almost 700 billion. That is more than 1.5 times what we send to the counties. We are talking about a country on the verge of bankruptcy, paying 70% of our GDP, 1.3 trillion in debt. Is that debt sustainable? And are they giving us specifics? We are talking about a country where the price of unga fortunately was reduced, but of course, unfortunately, nobody can access it yet. And what Kenyans may not understand is that nearly half the country, 20 million people, are within that poverty bracket. People earning 200 shillings a day. That's the price of unga. There are 20 million Kenyans who cannot put food on the table. I need to hear from them what went wrong with Uhuru Kenyatta's economic policies and what they'll do differently. Of course, Wajakoya has told us they'll rear snakes. We need to hear from Azimio and Kenya Kwanza what they will actually do differently. I need specifics. I need people who will be talking about Kenyans. Who are these Kenyans? Where are they? How many are they? If you're going to create jobs, where? How many jobs? How will that solve the job problem? We are talking about a country where you're looking at over 40 million, both poor and rich, who cannot actually be able to access basic health. These are some of the issues that we'll be talking about. But one of the things that cannot run away from is corruption. We need to actually have clear plans on the table. Because honestly, corruption, in fact, if you're looking at our expenditure currently as a country, the biggest expenditure is debt. That's at 70%, 1.3 trillion. The second one is civil servants pay at around 800, 900 billion. The third one is corruption at between 600 to 700 billion. The money we are giving the counties actually comes a distant fourth or fifth. So basically what we are saying is that, look here, as long as we'll continue being corrupt, as long as government has no clear, these future governments have no clear plan to nib corruption at the bad, then these guys should just pack and go home. We chop up the country and share the loot and maybe immigrate to other great places like Uganda.
Nerima, what are you looking forward to?
For me, for this one, I'm going to be biased and look at what they are giving or what they're offering young people. As much as it's going to heavily rely on opportunities, I think the questions I will be looking for answers to are specific to the Aga Khan University report of 2016, which people really like to quote. And I read, that 50% believe it doesn't matter how one makes money, but we forget that another 50% care how you make money. How are you going to answer that? And when you read on, 47% admire those who make money. They don't care how. But remember, there's another 53% who care how you make money. How are you going to speak to those youth? And then there's 30% who believe that corruption is profitable. 70% do not believe that corruption is profitable. So what are some of the responses they're going to give to that 70%?
Yeah.
And then finally, the fact that 73% are afraid to stand up for what is right. Why is that number so high? It shouldn't be that high. That means only 27% of young people in this country believe in standing up for what is right.
Yeah.
How are they going to make the environment conducive for young people to support the fight against corruption? But I think as well, another thing that concerns me is not even just how we're going to have the resources or things like that. It's the participation of young people.
Yeah.
Because in 2016, that same report said that 90% of young people are interested in engaging in politics.
Yeah.
The data from IEBC clearly shows us that only 39% are interested in participating in this election. So whoever wins in this election has to deal with a population of young people that have decided to clock out.
Yeah.
They don't believe in your leadership already, and they chose not to participate by even registering. How are you going to manage that population? And how are you going to offer solutions to a population that didn't even believe in lining up to vote for you?
Yeah.
And how are you going to do it in a very difficult economy? And so integrity will be key, because we'll have to manage the amount of resources that we have.
Yeah.
And youth will have to see where their taxes are going. Taxes are high. We are all paying them indirectly. And a number of youth in that 2016 report do not believe in paying their taxes. Guess what? That number has increased as well. So how would you convince the youth that their taxes is being used for the betterment of this country, and they're able to see the results of them paying those high taxes?
Okay. Dr. Baraza, are you expecting anything different before I come to you, Asaska? Are you expecting anything different for debate 2, which is about to kick off?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Very, very concrete strategies on how they are going to deal with these issues that touch very directly on Kenyans. They are talking about socio-economic programs to alleviate the immediate problems of the majority of Kenyans. The women, they are, I think Azimio Moja is talking about women and children, the vulnerable ones. And I think I agree with Wanjiru. This 6,000 into the pocket, you know, I hope it's not just a promise. Kenyans are hurting, Kenyans are hungry. I think I need to understand that, how that money is going to be sourced and when, because Kenyans are waiting. Issue of devolution, I want to hear concrete steps towards strengthening of devolution. Women, of course, I want to hear about what it is they are going to do with women. And yeah.
All right. Saska, you wanted to jump in?
Yes. Trevor, I wanted to let you know that I feel very privileged sitting in this panel tonight, because I'm a minority, I'm a woman, I'm Rendile from Marsabit, and I like that Azimio Manifesto have mentioned about peace and security. And I know as an individual, as a resident of one of the northern frontier counties, Article 238 of our constitution does guarantee peace and security for every Kenyan. And I feel like as a northerner, we've been left out. Particularly, most of you know about the conflict in Marsabit. People are being killed every single day. Unfortunately, it does not make it to news. And what I'm expecting today is to see what Ms. Karua and Mr. Gachagua have for the northern frontier counties. And one, on peace and security. Number two, on equal access to education. and health, and more so security, because we know peace and security are the main drivers of our economic development, and that's why we are so behind.
Yeah.
I'm really keen, quite biased, if you may say so, but I want to see what they have for the northern frontier counties.
Okay. Wanjiru, one other thing that we have to touch on before we cross over to the debate is the affirmative action. Yeah, the Kenya Kwanza manifesto talks about giving 50% of the positions to women. Same as Azimio also talks about empowering the women in their manifesto as well. But is this all about positions, and how come we've consistently failed on the 2/3 gender rule?
Right. I think the failure of the 2/3 gender is similar to, also has fallen to the, the lack of implementation of the promise. But there's also the issue of patriarchy, which means it is more difficult for women to access capital for their businesses. It is more difficult for women in politics. And so that is why the affirmative action comes in, to level the engagement ground.
Yeah.
And we'd like to see, of course, we've already seen today that 3 of the parties have already begun to implement the affirmative action principle by ensuring that the candidate for DP is a woman.
Yeah.
And so we need to look at their proposals, but also the actions of the party as they go on, because we don't want any more false, empty promises, so to speak. And of course, when women get in there, they need to ensure they push for that gender principle. And then on the issue, the expectations, really building upon what the panelists have said, at the minimum, we are part of the Okoa Uchumi campaign, which has been looking at the issue of public debt that has been driven by budgeted corruption. So at the minimum, we are looking at what are the concrete strategies for economic recovery, what are the concrete strategies for economic transformation, so that we can create jobs, and so that we can have a balanced budget, and we can generate enough money to implement the projects that we need, and a good life for all Kenyans.
Yeah.
That's the minimum. And I believe that the parties have crafted their proposals, so we'll be hearing that. I think the other thing that is maybe the game changer, as far as I'm concerned, as the Institute for Social Accountability, we've been investigating this issue of the culture. What has happened to our social accountability culture?
Yeah.
And it, at the center of this is we need to be very intentional about changing the way citizens engage with their public leaders, to move away from the dependency approach, to move away from the patrimonial approach, to one of empowered citizens exercising their agency, being patriotic, responsible citizens, but having voice and having the space to engage. So I'm very keen to hear what's the role of the citizens?
Yeah.
What's the empowering role of the citizens?